Hello and welcome to Dream Sports presents Fueling India's Olympic Quest, partnered by Times Network. A special conversation that we will be having on the show. We have three experts joining us today, and we'll be talking about what's required for Indian athletes to excel at the upcoming Olympics and for every Olympic edition that comes after that. And what about India hosting the 2036 Olympics? Does India have what it takes to host that edition? We'll find out more about these topics. Allow me first to introduce my panelists. We have with us Karnam Malleswari. She needs no introduction, but she is a weightlifter and India's first woman to win an Olympic medal. We also have with us Deepti Bopaiya. She's the CEO of Go Sports Foundation, and Deepak Jacob, the President Corporate Affairs at Dream Sports. Thank you so much for being here on this panel with me today. Deepak, I want to start first with you. Like I said, I started the conversation talking about athletes. So let's first start talking about athletes, and then we'll come to India wanting to host the 2036 Olympics. When we talk about athletes, what is the current scenario? What do you think more is required, or rather what is being done right now by foundations such as the Dream Sports Foundation? We have Go Sports Foundation here as well. What are some things that you are doing differently, maybe different to what a decade, 2 decades ago it was being done, so that our sports persons, our athletes can do better at the Olympics?
Yeah, thanks, Sumit. Thank you. Thank you. And, I'd like to really say that I'm very honored to be on the same panel as Karnam Madam and Deepti. Deepti is a veteran of the sports ecosystem, a good athlete herself, in her heyday. So yes, so it's great to be here. Just to put perspective to that question, Sumit, I think one should first look at the Indian ecosystem to say that the government itself has been spending a lot of money. The Ministry of Youth and Sports Affairs, the Sports Authority of India, and a lot of the national sports federations have been spending a lot of money, putting in a lot of effort at the grassroots level over the last 15 to 20 years now. That is now slowly bubbled up the ecosystem. I mean, the grassroots level funding and the investments are now paying off, and that's why you're seeing some results at the top of the funnel, essentially. So your Neeraj Chopra's, the world, Nikat Zareen's, etc., etc. The last 5 years, a lot of firms like the Go Sports Foundation, OGQ, Lakshya, and a lot of companies like the Adani, Reliance Foundation, etc., have added a lot more investment into both infra as well as athlete-focused development. But what's really missing is the middle of the pool, which is the under 14 and under 17, the youth. The big gap in Indian sport is youth. If you want to prepare for an Olympic journey, you have to have a 10-year lead time minimum, right? So I think that's what the foundations are now, Go Sports and ourselves, and the Dream Sports Foundation is really trying to focus on the gap of youth. So that's where we are going to be staying focused for the next 10 years, literally. And hopefully that should pay off in 10 years with a much higher level of athlete participation. There is an athlete to medal ratio, which is a minimum requirement if you want to be at the likes of USA and China. I mean, today there's about maybe 75 to 100 Indian athletes. I'm not really sure about the exact number, but if you look at China and the US, it's about 600 to 800 athletes, right? Okay. So if you want to increase your medal winning chances, your participation rate has to be significantly higher, 10x of what it is today. If you want to, the second thing that you need to win medals is your athletes must have at least 2 Olympic cycles. Unfortunately, most of the athletes that come in today, by the time they hit the first cycle, they're already too old. Or they're on that, they're the elder, they're in the 24, 25 category. Yeah, so it becomes difficult for them. So I think these are the 2 areas in which we will focus. And I think investment and money is just one element of it. I think it's also staying focused on what the problem you're trying to solve for, really. And that's what we will be doing, essentially.
That's great to know, Deepak. Thanks for that. Deepti, coming to you, same question, just your inputs on that.
I think Deepak very beautifully summarized the problem, right, of Indian sport, because it's not a one-time effort. And I think Karnam ma'am can also mention in her days, and everyone came in 1-2 months before and tried to do something and expected a medal as well, right? But today you're competing with the best in the world with all the science, all the technology, all the money, all the funding. So if you have to give our Indian athletes a fair chance, you have to prepare them well. It is a long-term game. We've been around for the last 15 years, and we've seen that you need 2-3 cycles to really first get an experience of the games. You could be a world champion, but you cannot become an Olympic champion. There's a lot of research that shows that. So it is really organizations like Dream 11 and Dream Sports Foundation who has understood the gap and understood what really the vision can be for India, right? And today you have young athletes who are not just saying that they want to go and participate at the Olympics, they want to go and win. And for that, you have to really create the entire ecosystem around them. So whether it's trainers, nutritionists, experts, physiotherapists, technology, wherever possible, to really get them to be the best versions of themselves. So really excited about the games. We're about 30 odd days, to the Olympics. Just seeing how far we've come in the last 2 Olympic cycles and what to expect. And one more thing that Deepak mentioned was 7,500 people in a contingent. We had our largest contingent last time, but with the hockey women's team not qualifying this time, our numbers do come down. But expecting double-digit medals will only happen when you're sending a broader base of athletes. There are events that we don't even participate in. There are events that no Indian has ever taken part in. So I think there's a long way for us to go, but we should also acknowledge how far we've come with all the stakeholders who've come forward to support and get us to where we are today.
Actually, just to add to your point, I was reading up, and apparently I think this is the first contingent where we are sending a sleep doctor, someone to help the athletes with their sleep as well. So that's again a big step there. Karnam मैम, आपसे एक चीज़ जानना चाहूँगा. 24 साल हो गए since 2000 when you lifted the Olympic medal. You became the first Indian woman to win the Olympic medal. तब से लेकर आज तक आपने क्या बदलाव देखा है इकोसिस्टम में, जो सपोर्ट हमारे एथलीट्स को, हमारे स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन्स को मिल रहा है, इकोसिस्टम में क्या बदलाव आपने देखा है?
देखिए, मैं एग्री करती हूँ जो दीपक जी और दीप्ति ने जो भी कहा है. तो मैं शुरू से यही कहती आ रही थी कि भी हम लोग ग्रास रूट लेवल में बिल्कुल जीरो लेवल पे काम करते हैं. अगर कोई बच्चा अपना आप एफर्ट लगा के, बहुत मेहनत करके, स्ट्रगल करके अगर एक लेवल पे पहुंचता है, उसके बाद उसको सपोर्ट करने के लिए कई चीज आ जाता है. लेकिन इतना भी सपोर्ट हमारे टाइम में नहीं था. हमारे पास स्पोर्ट्स साइंस सेंटर्स नहीं होते थे, हमारे साथ फिजियो नहीं होता था, मसाजेस नहीं होते थे, हमारे पास सिर्फ कोच एंड हम लोग होते थे. एंड उसके बावजूद हम लोग वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप में श्योरली मेडल जीतने जा रहे हैं, तो भी गवर्नमेंट ऐसे कहते थे भी एक दिन पहले, कंपटीशन से पहले जाओ, कंपटीशन खत्म करो, अगले दिन वापस आओ, क्योंकि हमारे पास फंड्स नहीं है. तो हिंदुस्तान में पोटेंशियल बहुत है, टैलेंट बहुत है, लेकिन ग्रास रूट लेवल में उनका सपोर्ट सिस्टम बहुत कमजोर है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बहुत कमजोर है, कोचिंग बहुत कमजोर है. ठीक है, अगर एक हेमा दास आ सकती है तो उस एरिया में 10 हेमा दास और होंगे, पर एक हेमा दास क्यों आई है कि वो अपना स्ट्रगल खुद करके वहां तक पहुंची. वहां पहुंचने के बाद उसको कई लोग सपोर्ट किया. लेकिन जैसे आजकल जैसे ड्रीम फाउंडेशन हो गया, गोस्ट फाउंडेशन हो गया, रिलायंस फाउंडेशन हो गए, टाटा हो गया, ये लोग अब सारे जुड़े हैं और ग्रास रूट लेवल में काम कर रहे हैं, तो रिजल्ट आ रहे हैं. 98 बैंकॉक एशियन गेम्स में मुझे अच्छी तरह याद है, हमारा हिंदुस्तान की तरफ से हम लोग गए, पूरा टीम में 2 मेडल आया था, एक मेरा, एक एथलेटिक्स में. लास्ट एशियन गेम्स में हम लोग 107 मेडल जीते हैं. तो अब आने वाले ओलंपिक्स में भी जीतेंगे, 32 में भी जीतेंगे, 36 में भी जीतेंगे. लेकिन अभी हमारा प्लान अच्छा चल रहा है. ठीक है, ये अभी जैसे नीरज चोपड़ा हमारे पास एक है, हम उसको सबको पैम्पर करके उसको रखना पड़ता है, क्योंकि उसके पीछे है ही नहीं कोई. अगर मेरे पास 10 नीरज चोपड़ा है 20-21 परफॉर्मेंस में, तो नीरज चोपड़ा भी अलर्ट रहता है कि भी अगर मैं थोड़ा सा रिलैक्स हो गया तो मेरा पीछे मुझे करने के लिए कोई और है. हमारे इंडियन स्पोर्ट्स कल्चर में ये चीज लाना जरूरी है कि भी एक एक इवेंट में 10-10-15 बैक टू बैक बच्चा है हमारे पास। कोई एशियन गेम्स में जा रहा है, कोई ओलंपिक में जा रहा है, कोई चैंपियनशिप में जा रहा है, जो चाइना एंड अमेरिका ये लोग जो मॉडल यूज करते हैं। अगर जिस दिन ये मॉडल हमने यूज किया और हमने ये फॉलो किया, तो आप सोचिए वर्ल्ड में हमसे ज्यादा मेडल कोई नहीं लेके जा सकता।
एब्सोल्यूट मैम, सही सही कह रही है आप। वो ज़रूरी है, ग्रास रूट से शुरुआत होती है तो वो पूरे सिस्टम में बॉटम टू टॉप से हो जाएगा एंड उसी से ही आगे स्पीड बढ़ेगी, आवर numbers will grow. So Deepak, you know, one important point also which you also mentioned earlier is about the government support. So I know government does programs like Khelo India, they have the Target Olympic Podium scheme. And the beauty is we're seeing the public, the government at one point, and private organizations, again, like yours, like Go Sports Foundation, and others also. How are you seeing this kind of optimization of this partnership, so to say, which was helping at the end of the day all these sports persons, these athletes to go ahead and further?
I think the Honorable Prime Minister actually has answered this many times in a lot of his speeches, especially in relation to all his flagship programs like Khelo India, etc. Right? He's very focused on youth fitness and youth sports, essentially. And so the answer lies there. I think the government needs to act and play its role as the owner and funder of the grassroots level ecosystem, the district level sports, the state level sports, etc., and bring the mass participation into each sport. Like Karnam ma'am just mentioned, in weightlifting, there should be a pipeline of 50 weightlifters from men and women category. In boxing, there's got to be a pipeline. So that pipeline comes when there's mass participation at the bottom. And that's where the government really plays a big role in terms of the Sports Authority of India, the SAI centers of excellence, the SAI district Khelo India centers, all of them play this huge role of bringing the mass into the mainstream of sport. Where do we come in and the national sports federations come in? I think like I said, the private organizations like Go Sports and Dream Sports Foundation, etc., is we figure out the gap funding that is required. We figure out the gap interventions that are required. So as Karnam ma'am mentioned, a lot of athletes today need to be sent for a 3-month high performance coaching camp to the UK. It costs a lot of money. The equipment is costly. We can come in and do that because government takes a long time to get approvals and there's a bureaucratic process involved. We understand that. But I think the longer term approach really is public-private partnerships between NSFs and the private sector. Long-term strategic partnerships. And what are the areas in which we would focus is, again, think about this as data and science in sports. What is missing for Indian athletes is data and science, sports science and sports analytics, analyzing everything from talent identification to analyzing performance, to analyzing injury probability, to analyzing rehabilitation, health and fitness, nutrition is all very data-led, which unfortunately is not available to the entire contingent or cohort of Indian athletes. That's the problem. The second is in the youth segment of under 14, under 17, there are no high-quality domestic tournaments. Simple as that. You need to be boxing with the best boxers in the country 6 to 8 months continuously in a year. An athlete needs to be running 6 to 8 months continuously in a year, practicing against other athletes. So we're also looking to focus on creating youth tournaments and matches and leagues, which just gives the kids from the age of 10 years of age, they are competing. So I think these are the two interventions: data, science, sports science, tech, and data, and high quality domestic matches. And if you want to invite international teams to participate to make it better, we'll do that. And we're actually talking to Go Sports and Karnam ma'am on some of these initiatives. But I think the national sports federations will play a big role in helping us do this.
कर्णम मैम, आपसे ये पूछना चाहूँगा बिफोर दीप्ति, बिफोर आई कम टू यू, कर्णम मैम, एक्चुअली जो दीपक कह रहे थे अबाउट गवर्नमेंट एंड प्राइवेट प्लेयर पार्टनरशिप, आपसे ये जानना चाहूँगा कि जैसे अगर प्राइवेट फाउंडेशंस ये आ रही हैं और ये हमारे स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन्स, एथलीट्स को हेल्प कर रही है, तो आपको क्या लग रहा है उससे कितना फ़र्क पड़ेगा, कैसे ये हेल्पफुल हो सकता है फॉर द एथलीट्स?
देखिए, ये बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है। जैसे मेरे को मिनिस्ट्री ने भी सपोर्ट किया इंफ्रा के लिए। उसके बाद एथलेट्स के लिए मुझे एसबीआई फाउंडेशन ने किया, एंड अभी ड्रीम फाउंडेशन मेरे को कर रही है। तो लास्ट ईयर जब मेरे को एसबीआई फाउंडेशन ने मुझे सपोर्ट किया, तो हम लोग लोकली जो खेलो इंडिया एंड स्टेट चैंपियनशिप्स एंड डिस्ट्रिक्ट चैंपियनशिप एंड नेशनल चैंपियनशिप्स यूथ, ये सब मिलके टोटल 85 मेडल्स हमने जीते हैं। ऐसे ही जी फाउंडेशन जो मुझे सपोर्ट कर रही है, वो अभी सेल्सी हमारी लड़की लास्ट कॉमनवेल्थ चैंपियनशिप में एंड यूथ एशियन चैंपियनशिप में ब्रॉन्ज मेडल एंड सिल्वर मेडल लिया। अभी इस साल वो कॉम्पिटिशन्स के लिए तैयारी कर रही है, वो ट्रायल्स में जा रही है। तो ये काफी सपोर्ट हो जाता है। देखिए, एज ए प्लेयर मेरा काम है, मैं ये कर सकती हूँ कि मैं उनकी शेड्यूल्स बना सकती हूँ, उनकी डाइट प्लान बना सकती हूँ, उनको रिकवरी क्या करना है, उनकी परफॉर्मेंस कैसे इम्प्रूव होगा, उनकी क्या ट्रेनिंग शेड्यूल से होंगे, क्या रिकवरी प्रोसेस होगा, क्या साइंटिफिक तरीके से उनकी इंजरी मैनेजमेंट कैसे करना है, फिजियोथेरेपी किस तरह होना चाहिए, ये सब चीज मैं देख सकती हूँ। अगर एक प्राइवेट पार्टी मेरे साथ आके सपोर्ट करती है फाइनेंशियली, तो इस चीज को हम काफी आगे तक लेके जा सकते हैं।
मैम, इंग्लिश में कहावत है ना, टू साइड्स ऑफ द सेम कॉइन, साथ में चलेंगे तो ही आगे बढ़ेंगे। दीप्ति, यू नो, नाउ लेट्स, आई वांट टू टॉक टू यू अबाउट India's plan to host the 2036 Olympics. Yes, about the way ahead, putting in the bid. But what is your viewpoint? You're on the ground, you're seeing things. What's your view on India putting in the bid to host the 2036 Olympics? Do you think we have it in us? Do you think we're going to come with an amazing tally of medals in 2036 if it's happening in India?
I think the idea to even host shows how where India has arrived, and I think we're in a great place in terms of even believing that we can host one of the largest global events in the world, right? I think that's really exciting. Second, for us to win medals, I think Deepak and Karnam ma'am have mentioned that you're talking about today's 10, 11, 12-year-old who will actually be representing us at the 2036 Olympics. It's not our current set of athletes. So all the support needs to go into young athletes transitioning. And in our experience, and ma'am will also know, the most difficult time for an athlete is transitioning from a junior to emerging to senior athlete, because your body changes, your requirements change, you suddenly grow very tall, or hormonal changes. So you have to really track all these things in a very, very systematic manner. And obviously data is going to be hugely essential, like what Deepak mentioned, because today we don't have the data of how a 15-year-old in, say, this particular, in urban cities, you may probably have a lot more data, but you don't have for pan India. And just given how diverse India is, state to state, our food and our nutrition and our requirements are so different that it is impossible to say a 15-year-old weightlifter in Haryana will exactly be the same shape, weight and size of a good weightlifter, say, in South India. Right? It's going to be so different. So data is going to play a very different role to even just capture information, because there is no set standards right now in Indian sport of what to expect and where to put your funds on. And the Olympics vision is really about a movement. It is a movement for India. It's about the values of Olympics, right? It's about moving forward. It's about society. It's about education, and it's about culture coming together. It's not just about the medals. So for something like that to happen, it should be a nation building activity where corporates and individuals and champion athletes like Karnam ma'am and everybody else coming together, working together and moving forward. And there's so many different elements and aspects of Indian sport to be sorted before we even bid and then eventually host. And I think from a 2036 perspective, our PMO also mentioned that they're very keen to even host the Youth Olympics. And I think that is really the game changer. If we do well 4 years prior to that, you really know where we stand from an Olympic standpoint. So the building blocks or the ladder has to start now, because I mean, I've been now in the foundation for 12 years, and I don't know how those 12 years went away. So it's exactly 12 years for 2036. So I think private NGOs, technical athletes, ecosystem, and being part of the Target Olympic Podium Scheme now for the last 2 years, I've seen very closely the kind of attention, effort, time, understanding that's going in from Sports Authority of India into the national centers, into all of these things. I think it's a really exciting place, and it can really be amazing for a young Indian to really see this whole process come together.
Definitely is a very exciting place, an exciting time, in fact, for these conversations. Deepak, while Deepti has spoken about the 2036 Olympics, just wanting to get your point of view on how organizations like yours, like the Dream Sports Foundation, what are their plans for Mission 2036?
Yeah, thanks, Sumit. So our plans are, like I said, we've got an 11-year plan. So we're looking at LA 2028. We're looking at Youth Olympics, like Deepti mentioned, 2030. Then the Olympics 2032. And then there's a 2036 the Olympics, which hopefully, if India bids, we should get. I don't need to say, but just the idea of India hosting the Olympics itself will be enough to inspire hundreds and hundreds of youngsters who are 10 years old and 12 years old today. And they will be in the age group of 24, 25, 26 by the time the 2036 Olympics comes. So yes, it'll be an amazing, inspirational, morale boosting, incentivizing thing to happen for the Indian sports diaspora. The economic benefits of an Olympics event is there's a domino effect. It just cascades all across, all the parts of the country, not just Gujarat, wherever it's happening, but it just has a cascading economic potential for tourism, culture, and all the soft powers that we are able to display at that point in time. But, and of course, it just puts you on the roadmap, on the Olympic roadmap. I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? We believe that we should be in a position to support the journey of these young kids from the time they're 12 till the time they go pro at 17, and also give the parents enough comfort around their education. And for that, the Dream Sports Foundation, along with its parent company, which is Dream Sports Inc., is basically even willing to go and offer them jobs and careers. We also have a program called Dream Again, which is even if the athlete doesn't make it at 17, 18, 19, or 20, we give them, we educate them, upgrade them in the field of sports science, sports tech, health, nutrition, fitness, and actually basically get them jobs either back in the foundation or with Go Sports Foundation or with Reliance Foundation, etc. So this sports as a business and sports as a career are the two incentivizing, hugely motivational, hugely incentivizing things for any parent who's going to put his or her child's life in your hands.
So on point, Deepak. This is so important because it's also, you're kind of showing that child, that parent, the path for the full life of that child, which gives them that confidence, that mental assurance, which is most important. Karnam मैम, आपसे ये पूछना चाहूँगा कि आप और ड्रीम स्पोर्ट्स फाउंडेशन ने भी कोलैबोरेट किया है, तो मुझे जो एक ड्रीम लेजेंड प्रोग्राम है उसके बारे में आपका विजन थोड़ा बताइएगा मुझे उसके बारे में।
देखिए, मेरा तो विजन यही है, 32 एंड 36 का मैं प्लान कर रही हूँ। एंड मैं काफी उम्मीद के साथ, जैसे कि दीप्ति ने कहा, काफी चैलेंजेस है। पैन इंडिया लेवल में मेरे पास बच्चे हैं, और इन सबको एक साथ लाना और एक साथ एक ग्रुप में बांधना, उन लोगों के एक साथ रहना। एंड जैसे आजकल बच्चे बहुत ज्यादा एक्साइटेड है हर चीज में, एंड सबके पास अप्रोच इतनी ज्यादा है, मोबाइल्स है, कुछ भी गूगल करना है, कुछ भी करना, उस चीज को कंट्रोल करना, उनको एक डिसिप्लिन मैनर में लेके आना। एंड उसके बाद उनको प्रॉपर ट्रेनिंग फैसिलिटीज देने के बाद उनकी रिकवरी प्रोसेस पे भी काम करना। तो मेरा एक ही मोटिव है कि मैं सिडनी में मैं एक गोल्ड मेडल लूज करके आई थी 2 किलो की सिर्फ डिफरेंस से। 2 kg कुछ भी नहीं होता है। वो एक मेरा अंदर काफी बड़ा एक वो है। तो मैं 32-36 ओलंपिक्स में मैं वो मेडल्स वापस लेना चाहती हूँ इंटरेस्ट के साथ।
ये बहुत सही बात कही आपने मैम, इंटरेस्ट के साथ। एंड यस, हम भी पूरी आपको बेस्ट विशेस देंगे आपकी पूरी टीम के लिए। थैंक यू कर्णम मैम, थैंक यू दीप्ति, एंड थैंक यू दीपक फॉर दैट enlightening and very interesting conversation. Well, that's all that we have the time for today. Thank you so much for watching Dream Sports, fueling India's Olympic quest, partnered by Times Network. I hope you're taking away some very important points from our conversation here today. Thank you so much for watching.